Hello, everyone. Today we're looking at the Pursuer Enforcement ship. This is a legend, more of a Legends ship, um, and that's where we get this. This is from all of the extended universe from the novels. Most notably, this ship comes in as Boba Fett's replacement for his original ship, the Slave One. Um, and of course, then we get all the backstories and all that gets then provided for this. So originally, this is a pursuer class enforcement law enforcement ship. Okay, this was originally a heavy patrol craft designed by Mandal Motors, which is Mandalorian's shipbuilding industries. During the Clone Wars, this was a type of starship employed by policing separatists control or separatist controlled worlds. Um, so this is all coming off of Wikipedia here. Um, for the most part, I think they get a lot of this right because I know I myself have not read all of the extended universe or expanded universe legends books. I know a lot of this stuff because of doing the role playing game. A lot of the books that had come out, we had gotten supplements for like the pirates and privateers, which I mean the source book here has it in there, and of course it's on page 75, and of course the book's right behind me, and I flipped over. There it is on page 75. Um, in those regards, it is very nice to be able to see this. A very iconic ship for a lot of the people that have gone through and read the books and are now going on forward to, if you're doing it in role playing games or whatever else, it all flips over and gets added into there. Um, so as we're looking at the ship, it is a very basic design in a lot of regards, but um, our characteristics here: the craft is well armed for its size with twin blaster cannons and a turret-mounted ion cannon, giving the ship formidable firepower. Military-grade shield generators uh, uh, protected the pursuer from harm. History. Let's see. The ships became popular with Spar and his Mandalorian protectors during the Clone Wars. See, now this is all afterwards stuff. Before being made available to police forces across the galaxy when Imperial advisors were placed on the Mandal Mortars uh, executive board after the rise of the Galactic Empire. So here we get Boba Fett used a modified pursuer enforcement ship, which he named Slave 2, which is where I know this ship from. Because he had always made it out of the Sarlacc pit. So, if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, that is that's Disney Star Wars. This isn't Legends. So, in Legends, he had made it out of there himself, and he kept up on being a gun for hire as a bounty hunter and all that. So, okay, here after escaping the Sarlacc pit, it was nearly um, destroyed when it crashed into a planetary defense shield around Bias. Or BIS. I don't know how you want to. It's BYSS, so I don't know exactly how you want to pronounce that correctly. But Fett managed to survive, and the ship was later stolen from a dry dock. One of the most infamous pursuers was the Vraxo owned vessel. Uh, see, and this is where this is where I do agree with Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and that we can write these names, but quite often, if you're not the one that's actually creating this stuff, it does get hard to actually read. Uh, Varaxo owned vessel Ikudu, which harassed the Azemian family in several unprovoked raids against the Twin Suns transport services, until it was destroyed by the Azunians, ending the heated feud. Uh, During the Yakuzang War, The Mandal Mortars protectors would use Pursuer class enforcement ships to great effect to liberate such worlds as um, Gindyne. Um, as a behind the scenes here, the Pursuer was created from the or INT-4 interceptor via the method of Chinese whispers. The craft was described as a Star Wars Dark Empire, or in Star Wars Dark Empire, as a description of the INT-4, which was one of the few non-canon movie craft available at the time. This description was used to design the Pursuer by the artist, unaware that the INT-4 toy would be available. Um, so we have a different sources. So we have it was in the Dark Empire source book, Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels, Pirates and Privateers, the Far Orbit Project, Star Wars, X-wing Alliance, Prima's official strategy guide. Um, I Star Wars Gamer, Harbinger Doom. Um, so it's Star Wars Gamer number 7. And there's like 3 or 4 here. Galaxy at War, the Clone Wars campaign guide. Um, One of the nice things is with a lot of the stuff that was never fully canon. I mean, a lot of people, and myself as well, I like to think that all of the novelization really became canon because the writers did go through a process of trying to keep everything fairly uniform throughout the Star Wars universe. Okay, so looking at our screen again, because I've got a different screen here in front of me, so I can read that off. All right, so we have it's Mandal Motors, Pursuer Enforcement Craft. Um, so this would be during the rise of the Empire, privates and privateers, and also Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels is where we get these stats from. So this is a system patrol craft. We are at 30.1 meters long. It has a crew of 1. Your crew skills are going to vary depending on what you're all doing. Passengers, you can have 2, and then you're going to have 5 prisoners in prison cells. You have 35 metric tons of cargo. So, we think about it in like today's terms. The Coast Guard might go out with maybe 3 people. You only need 1 person to actually pilot it. You're going to have 2 extra people to help try and bring prisoners in. We have 5 weeks of consumables. Therefore, it can sit out there and kind of hover around for a while, check on people. It's a police craft, really. So our cost, 200,000 credits, brand new, and about 80,000 credits used. Not a bad price. Very good for uh, really our planetary law enforcement and stuff like that. 200,000, I think, for planetary governments to kind of fund this really is a good thing here. Hyperdrive of a times 1 with a backup of a times 16. So having a hyperdrive is really kind of nice. The Empire kind of stopped using the hyperdrive or for a lot of their system patrol craft, mainly because they had a huge presence that they could always call in another fleet somewhere or whatever and kind of step in and help them out. Where when you're looking at planetary governments, that's not always as easy to do. So as they're trying to properly police their areas, they may have to kind of just rely on themselves and really, to say it in these regards, they may have to chase someone down that just went off into a different system on their own. Because there's a lot of lawless areas in the galaxy in Star Wars, so sometimes they may have to go and chase someone down, capture the criminal, and then bring them back to justice. So we have a maneuverability at 1D, so it's a little bit, it's not a starfighter type maneuverability. Space is a 7, so it's a pretty decent. It's faster than most of your cargo vessels, a lot of our fighter craft start getting a little bit faster. So if somebody's actually using a fighter craft, they may have a hard time trying to catch up to them. So in an atmosphere, we do have, if you look at this, we do have somewhat of a wing system off on the one side, um, to help try and keep it aloft a little bit. It's not just off the engines. We are going about a kilometer an hour. Um, Hull of a 4D, so that's actually really respectable. Shields is 1D, so not the best, but not the worst. Our sensor package here, we can passively search about 3.5 kilometers out. We can scan about 5.5 kilometers. We can do a search at 8 kilometers. And then when we're really focusing down on trying to focus on, tell things or whatever, it's about 300 meters. So we have our twin blaster cannons, which are forward facing here. We have a 2D fire control system to try and help aid the pilot slash gunner. And we're doing 5D for damage, which is actually pretty average, a little higher than average. Typically, I would say your 4 is going to be your base. Anything below 4, you're kind of just shooting pop guns at people. Depending on what you're fighting, if it's just a down on their luck pirate organization, they may not have uh, shields on their ships or whatever. So, how depending on what you're going up against, if you have a 4D, may not be the best. You can still make do. The TIE fighters, when they first came out, they were underpowered, which that'll be a whole another video. Um, that's going to be a little extra. That there's a lot into the TIE fighters. So, um, and we'll have to take one at a time. So, all right. So we do have two ion cannons, which has a damage of 4D and a fire control of 2D. So here it is. The ion cannons are a little lesser, but really your ion cannons are to take out the shields and neutralize your controls. So when it comes to ion cannons, for them to be a little less powerful isn't a bad thing. You're trying to subdue the craft, not destroy the craft. So there's that difference in the function there. All right, so we're going to sneak back up here so you have one more view of our ship here. As you can tell, it is a very rectangular vessel. There is 2 floors to this. So as we look at this, we have that huge nose that hangs out there. All right, so when we get into the bottom level here, we have our auto chef, we have a refresher, so we have a bathroom. Um, we do have a hatch on the side, and we have two fold down bunks. Now, the very front, I believe, is going to be our cargo hold up here. So, I mean, it's not going to be comfortable trying to get some extra people in here. Actually, looking at if our auto chef is here, we probably can't even get into here. So that's probably all of our mechanics. So that means that our cargo hold has to be over here then. Trying to figure this all out because we can't hold 35 tons. I think whoever did this is a little off on how they maybe should have done this. It's not too bad, but if you're going to say you have cargo hold, I think this is going to be our cargo hold. So really what they're saying is right about this joint, this is just open. Now, if this is our cargo hold, I could see that. Um, I don't know. Maybe I disagree with this. Maybe it's right. I don't know. The whole thing is sometimes when we're doing this for video games, we're not really going through a cargo hold. As you can tell, though, this is a very narrow ship. It's not going to be a very comfortable ship to be in and all that. Um, let's see. There's our ladder going up, and yeah. So I'm not exactly. We'll keep going through here. All right. So this is our ladder. It looks like this is going up here, but that doesn't make. Oh, okay. Now I get it. So we get a front ladder here. So this is our front ladder going up. So that's here. Then we have a crawl space to get over to here. So this is kind of a messed up design, but and then we have another ladder to go down and then into our cargo hold, which must be all of this. Um, doesn't seem like a very useful design here. Again, I can see the ladder here, and I can see this part of it. Um, and we're seeing that this is about 3 meters. So to me, if you have 3 meters, we have enough room here to go side by side. Because typically, you start looking at a meter and a half ish for about our 5 feet. Okay, so you're talking about 10 feet across, which is not very big. And I admit that. And they have all these controls here. So, um, having been in being a driver in that, knowing how little bit of a room that they actually gave me in the military for driving a armored personnel carrier, I was kind of cramped in there. I was, of course, I was a thin man at the time, um, but I think, I, th- you know, 10 feet across, I think we could do a little bit better than what we're doing here. Um, I think this is a little bit out of scale. And I don't think your auto chef is going to be sitting here. Like I said, I think this is going to be a little bit more cargo space here. Um, but that's, this is what they had in the book. So, um, or the book that I got this from. So, and of course, then I try to look it up on like Wikipedia or Wikipedia and that, because there's a lot of people that, being fans like myself, we go through and we try to understand what everything is. And I can tell you some of this stuff, but I know I'm not going to be able to tell you everything on just my own experience, because I've got other things I've got to attend to too. I can't just spend every day ignoring my wife and my kids. I think that would kind of get some grumpy family members. And I think I would probably have probably a piece of pie or two thrown at my face every so often, because I'd have to get my nose out of a book or something. All right. So, really, this is our big look at the ship. Like I said, iconically, this was Boba Fett's replacement to Slave One. So this is Slave Two, um, and really, that's where we get this ship from. And then later on, it gets expanded into other things. Um, it was a good ship for what Boba Fett needed. It's not like he was really running around with a family. Typically, it was just him by himself. Of course, when you had Jango Fett with Slave One, and he sometimes have Boba in there. Um, you know, things are what they are. So, um, all in all, as a ship for running around in or having players go up against, it is pretty formidable. Having the ion cannons, and depending on how you play it, me being a forever referee, game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it, um, I usually play a lot of the bad guys as more dum dums, very basic. I want my players always to succeed. Um, as you can tell, whenever I do a role playing game myself, and if I just do it on my own, I do horrible rolls. So trying to get things to work out. Uh, and my players know that I always err on their side. My job, really, to me, is not to kill people off. I'm here to try and give them a world or a universe that they can run around in, have fun in, um, and we can be as goofy as we can. That's my take on how to do role playing games, however we make it. Um, I do listen occasionally to RPG horror stories, because you have some of the bigger tropes that really irk the most out of me is when we get dungeon masters and that having a main player character. Normally, if I have a player character, it's more of an NPC. I'm the dumbest character in the world. I follow them blindly for whatever they do. I'm there as a support character. I'm not a main character because I've got too much other things going on. I have to be every other character they run into. The world is my world. They have their characters, and then my world evolves around whatever they do. Um, so hopefully, whoever listens to these, you get that sense of, if we were to sit down, it might take a little bit before we can kind of work out exactly how to really get a game that that player would be really happy with. But once we get there, um, you try to tailor it and you try to keep that group going because no one's going to want to come back unless they're having fun. In a game like this, or in a universe like this, we keep coming back because Luke is struggling on this. Han and Leia are struggling with their kids, and then there's other things going on. There's always struggles in the galaxy. They always seem to come out of it. Um, Boba Fett being a very popular character, which has always been an interesting thing because originally when he was written in, he was just going to be a side character, but just the coolness factor that he is, it just is what it is. So, all right, well, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.